A little bit about mixed nationality relationship. What you think about it?
I would say mixed, nationality relationships are mostly, when you marry someone who is from another culture or from another country. And there are things to, discuss, especially when you're getting to know this person. There are a lot of things that you need to discuss in terms of, how you both serve God. Those differences are there. How you interact with family. Those are things that you need to discuss. And how you also, discuss your family dynamic, how you were raised, how you were brought up. It's important to have those conversations so you know what you are getting yourself into.
Okay.
You're able to come to an agreement, a compromise sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. How about you, Sister Benedict?
I think that relationships as a whole it comes with different dynamics. If you can maneuver work relationships, you can maneuver friendships. I think with marriage or either romantic relationships, it's the same thing. It comes with its ups and downs, there's challenges. For me, marrying from another culture, another country, I think there's a lot of cultural sensitivities that you guys need to take into perspective before you go into it. Not that it will give you a full picture, but it will give you an idea, because going into marriage is a whole lot of culture shock that comes with marrying someone from another nationality. So I think all in all, you just need to weigh the pros and the cons. Is the nationality really something that bothers you, or is it a personality issue, before you make a decision of either being in a relationship or marrying somebody.
Okay, thank you. But before we move further to another question, where are you from and where is your spouse from?
Oh yeah, I am from Cameroon, specifically from the English part of Cameroon, West Africa, and my husband is from Nigeria.
Oh, okay. What part? Is it Igbo, Yoruba?
He's a Yoruba man.
Okay. How about you, Loris?
I'm Nigerian. My wife is from the Caribbean. Actually, Trinidad to be precise.
Okay. Okay. So, what made you to explore other nationality? Like, is it something that you've always wanted when you are you understand what I mean?
Yeah. To be honest, when I was looking to get married, I actually wanted to marry a Nigerian because I was aware of the cultural differences. And I wanted a situation. There are even some points in my life I wanted to marry a white person.
Oh, wow.
There are parents.
Because you were born here, so
it doesn't really mean, because I grew up in Nigeria. So,
okay.
But I was more comfortable with marrying a Nigerian because I won't have to worry about trying to get to know, them culturally, because that's another work that you have to deal with.
Yes.
So, but the way God will have it, all the things I said I did not want, or all the things I said, this is what I want, was not the way it happened, So, glory to God on that one.
Thank you. How about Sister Benedict? What made you I want to go to Nigeria, I want a Yoruba man. Is it something that you've always wanted, or God just had his perfect?
So, I would not say that I was exploring per se. In fact, at the time that I met my husband, when we started dating, I wasn't even looking to date at that point. I was one of the people that was like, okay, get your education, get your career, get this aligned, and then you can think about marriage somewhere along the line. So I wasn't looking to explore, and nationality wasn't even my thing. On the contrary, Nigeria was the country that I said, even if I want to explore another country, I would never think of Nigeria. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
In the part of Cameroon where I come from a part of Cameroon, Manu division. It's very close to the Nigerian border. So there is a lot of exchange of cultural, like their names, our food. This is very similar. And there's a lot of migration from that part of Nigeria into Cameroon. But there were quite a few bad apples from the Nigerian side that did not give it quite a good reputation.
Of course.
So I was like, based on what I've seen growing up and the things that I'd experienced, I was like, I'm never marrying a Nigerian. I knew for sure that I wasn't going to. But it is what it is.
Yep.
So speaking about like cultural shocks and barriers, I mean, did you experience that
Yes.
for instance, you know, in Yoruba culture, you are like the wife. There's a certain way they want you to do something.
Exactly.
I mean, how did that happen? I mean, did it happen, or what are other cultural barriers that took place?
So, first of all, I like to say that I'm very empirical in nature and I'm very analytical. So something needs to make accurate sense to me
Right.
for me to do it, for me to deviate from my comfort zone. And dealing with my in-laws, especially my father-in-law, he is one of the very few people that I did not grow up with that quickly picked that attribute of me. And somehow that man is able to, there's absolutely nothing that he asked me to do that I will not do it. Why? Because he does the legwork. Like, he analyzes the pros and the cons, and like he doesn't need to, but because he understands that's how I work, he has been able to do that. From a cultural point, there's been a lot from the food. I'm a very curious person, so I like. I'll save that for another episode. So there's the food. So there was a lot of shock that came in there.
What kind of shock, though? Is it too spicy or something? But
I mean, we eat spicy. Yeah. But one of the things that came through was, for example, we eat beans in Cameroon with a few different things.
Oh, okay.
You guys eat beans with everything.
Yes.
No, we eat beans with gari with plantain, yam.
Yeah, you guys.
Rice,
corn,
rice.
Yeah,
corn inside beans.
Yeah, rice.
You guys eat beans with everything, and sometimes I'm like, why would you be eating beans with this thing? It just drives me crazy sometimes. But I mean, it is what it is. The next thing is the soups. So there was a lot of transformation that happened there. There's similarity in the way it's being cooked, but I still cannot wrap my mind around the fact that 99% of all Nigerian soups have to be with palm oil. Even the thing that you're not using swallow for.
Depending on culture, though.
That kind of, at least for my husband's culture. Like, my husband will cook, like sometimes he attempts to cook, I'll have to remind him when he's cooking like stew, and I'll be like, can you use vegetable oil instead of palm oil? Like, you guys use palm oil for 99% of your food, and I grew up using palm oil for only our ethnic delicacies. So I'll use palm oil for like eru, I'll use palm oil for like ogbono soup, I'll use palm oil for like porridge cocoa yams. If I need to cook like cabbage, I need to cook stew, I need to cook potatoes, I'll use vegetable oil for that.
Right.
But the food was one thing. The next thing that I faced a cultural shock on was I think the events, like how you guys manage events. So I remember very early in our relationship, I had to meet his godmother for the first time, and he was like, oh, my godmother is having this event, this is the dress code. And I'm like, no. It had to go. It was a whole full regalia. It was a gele and all that stuff. I remember I was fighting so hard about it, and I was like, no. But when we met his godmother, she was like, you know, she has a name specifically for me. She was like, Mommy Abike, I have this for you. I specially made it for you. She was like, I don't tie gele, but she put it on my head. She tied it. I've tied gele twice in my life. Once was that day that she tied it. The second day was my wedding. Wow. And for my wedding, I literally took it off after like 30 minutes.
Of course.
That was one big thing that we had to fight, because Yoruba men, I know you guys like your agbada, your kaftan, and your stuff, and it would make sense for your brides to like ride in like the gele and showcase the outfit. First of all, I'm not really an African wear person, so that is something that I had to learn how to do. But overall, my in-laws made the cultural transitioning for me very, very easy. I have a very carefree mother-in-law. Like she does like you will never know that. It's like there's no objection in what I do. She will subtly suggest things that she'll be like, "Is that okay?" Like the I've heard people go through about mother-in-laws imposing things on them and stuff like that. I have not had that experience. She has not done that. I remember when we were ready to name our daughter. That was a big fight. I had my names lined up and they had their names lined up, and then there was a whole cultural thing of it's the first grandchild, it's a this, it's a that, it's a that. At the end of the day, the names that we picked, the names that she has were the names that my father-in-law picked. And that's because I accepted those names because they made sense. Like I said, they made sense to me.
Right.
Her first name is Tiara Lua. Short form, we call it Tiara, which can pass for an English name.
Yes.
Right.
So from the body of God, that was, even though it is a Yoruba name, it makes sense from a Christian perspective. And then Ayomide, my joy has come. So it's like,
I mean, you're blessed. I mean, to have like in-laws that
understand.
Yeah, I mean,
those kind of things.
Because I've had stories from internet, you know, because you are married to their son or daughter.
Yes.
They have a way that you have to. It's as if they are controlling your house.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I mean, I'm Igbo. I got married to Yoruba, so the difference was not really there, because again I was I was even born in Yoruba land, and I lived almost all my life up to this time with the Yoruba. So I mean, it's something that it was very, very easy to me. Their culture, I understood their culture, their food, everything. I mean, some people actually thought I'm a Yoruba person, but because of my name.
I actually thought you were Yoruba until I heard your last name.
Yeah, so how about you, Royce? I mean, just because as African, she's from Cameroon and is West African, Nigeria. Like she said, people were migrating from Nigeria to Cameroon, you know, from the border. But yours is quite different because you were born in USA, but you grew up in Nigeria and you got married to someone from Caribbean. So how's that been for you?
Not to interrupt you, first of all, I love Caribbean people. I love their food, their music, their dance.
So for me, it was different, obviously, because my wife was actually born here. She's from Boston. Yes, her parents are Caribbeans and everything, but it was tough family-wise, you know, as of recently, because there were certain things that my mom didn't really understand. Now, granted, I'm like the only son of my mother, so there's that emotional attachment. You know, so you know she doesn't want anybody to hurt me or those kind of, and I really appreciate that. However, you know, I had to respectfully let my mom know that, you know, I'm starting a new
family
right here. So I have to set some, you know, there are some things, and I told my mom, I said there are some things that my wife may not necessarily understand now. But as time goes on, right, as long as there's no pressure to change it. Like, for instance, my mom will be like, the culture, you have to teach her how we do things. And I say, yeah, I get that, right? But the primary culture here is the culture of the kingdom
Christ.
of God, right? She needs to know that one first.
Yes.
Before we can now start talking about, okay, different types of culture. I said, and there are some good things about the culture that she will take on, right? I also had this relationship, this conversation with my wife as well. I said, you know, there are some things that you will take on, there are some things you will not, you know, but don't put it like as a, you must do it.
Right.
You know, those kind of things. So, those were things I had to, you know, take care of, you know, in the past year. Or like recently, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to. It was actually weighing down on me. Actually, it was really, really stressful. But
It
we
is
thank God.
stressful to go between your parents and
And then it looks like you're picking sides.
Right.
It looks like you are.
Yeah, in the
Oh,
middle.
I
Are you
carried
for
you in
me?
my womb
Yeah,
for
for
9 months, and then you are coming and it looks like you are now. And at the point I became the middleman.
right.
Because now I'm
You can't
trying
pick
to
a
manage
side.
everybody. Hey, calm down, everybody. No, it's not like that. It's like this. And I'm like, if you have anything with my wife, be free to come to her and talk to her. Don't come through me to get to
Tell
my
her
wife.
that.
Oh, how is your wife doing?
Ask her.
You
Call
can
her and
call
ask
her and talk to her. You see what I'm saying? Again, it doesn't mean that our parents are bad people. It's
No.
just that the way some of the
Some
ways
things
they
are
were
done.
grown.
Yes.
The dynamics of the family, how they did things. Kind of affects how they relate with their in-laws and stuff like that.
I like what you said about you had to discuss with your mom that this is how you want something, and I think it's something that we need to. For instance, when I was getting married, I called my dad. I was like, "Oh, Dad, I just want to inform you that I'm getting married." Then my dad said, "Wait, why can't you wait for your elder brother?" And I'm like, "No,
So that's what I want.
I'm calling you not to give me approval. I'm calling to inform you."
Right.
I could have done the wedding.
I'm not
and
telling you
you
anything.
just see pictures. So I think having that conversation, we make our parents to be at peace.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
against
remember
you.
my dad. I had that issue too. It took him. It took quite a lot of convincing for him to get aboard. At the start, I remember he was like, even if he needs to give his blessing, we need to fly down to Cameroon, and I was like, that's not happening. So he was like, you don't know these people. You have not, because okay, this is how it happens in my culture. Once a family declares an intention to marry you, your family gives them 6 months, 3 months, or whatever
Wow, before
to
they
go
can
and
answer.
do investigations
Oh.
about the
I think
family
it's the same.
that you come from.
No, for us it's not like that.
Oh, okay.
We don't do investigation.
So they need to find out about the family that you're coming from. Your
lineage.
lineage, what has been going on with your family. Do you guys have
Is there mad
something?
people?
Are there mad people? Are there diseases? Are you people
Are they
troublesome?
barren in that place?
All of that due diligence. But with me marrying a Nigerian, it kind of took away from my dad the ability to be able to do that for me. So he was really concerned. He was
I
like,
see.
we don't know this family. We haven't met them. You guys don't want to come to Cameroon to do it. I don't know if I can give my approval or yet. It took quite a lot of months. It took quite a lot of months for convincing. We were done with counseling in church, and everybody kept asking her, when is the wedding date? When is the wedding date? We were still waiting on my dad's approval at that time. So it did.
Wow. And it
There's-
can put stress on the man because the man will be like, what's all this?
What's
going on here? Like,
Yeah.
I'm stressing myself. What's this?
Yeah,
it's
it's
kind
a
of
lot
discouraging.
it's a lot to navigate.
Yeah,
but
it is.
what I always tell people is you need to decide if you're trying to marry somebody or you're trying to marry a culture, because there's some people that are fascinated by
Wow.
I want to marry Nigeria.
culture.
Nigerians they have a rich culture, they have this. I like to marry Cameroonian because I want somebody that can speak French. But it's not a culture, it's a personality. It's someone you're picking out of the culture. So you need to be very cognizant about that. And before you get married, you need to have that conversation. You need to be able to know what you can take and what you cannot take, and let your spouse know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not deviating like this. Let the person know. I can bend like this and accept this. One of the things I told my husband I would never do. You guys have, not you guys, but Yoruba people have a culture. I think it's the whole Nigeria where when a baby is born, you guys need to bathe the baby with palm oil.
Really?
I don't know
No,
about
I
that
don't
one.
know.
Okay, maybe it's not your culture, but that is a big thing. Like they smear the baby
With
with
palm
palm oil.
Ew.
So I told
Nasty.
my mother-in-law called at the time, just like, oh, who's going to give the baby palm oil bath? I said nobody. She was like, oh, there needs to be done. So here's the rationale. The rationale of that is that there are impurities in the womb, which is true, that the baby comes out with, but that's why they wipe you at the hospital. They do this, and there is a smell from the womb that you need to wash out the baby that only palm oil can take away. I'm like, okay. So when my mother-in-law was saying that, I could hear my father-in-law in the background saying that you already know that she's going to tell you that thing that you're saying is not adding up. It's not making sense. You know she's going to say no. But here is how I compromised. When my husband's godmother came to give that so-called palm oil bath, they came with palm oil, but they just tapped it
Okay, yeah.
And then
makes
rubbed
sense.
it on her behind.
It's
and
not by
then-
immersion. They just
Yeah,
immerse
but,
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
lucky
and I
child,
have
though.
watched videos where they do
Wow.
that. Like they flip the baby, they pull the like.
I know about the flipping.
Yeah,
know
and
about the bending,
I also
everything.
said the
I know
bending,
about
no
it.
bending, no flipping, no, definitely no palm oil.
I actually did that. I did the
Flipping and the bending,
I did,
and no.
I did a little bit of the bend. I did it myself. So yeah. So Royce, regarding like cultural shock, was there any cultural shock from your side, from your perspective? Like food or how they do things that you were like, what's going on here?
So part of Caribbeans, their food is mostly Indian. So if you check their food, most of their foods are Indian because part of their heritage is from Indians.
Okay.
So they adopted a lot of food
Meals.
from India.
From Indians, okay.
Yeah. But for the most part, the only thing I would say is like there was no like bride price.
Bride price.
Oh.
There's nothing
Okay.
like that.
That's good.
Yeah, there's no traditional wedding.
It's be good for Igbo man.
Exactly. So we didn't do bride price.
No traditional wedding.
No
Wow.
traditional wedding or anything like that. Because my wife wasn't really interested in all those things. Even if there was. Aside from that, I wouldn't say. I mean, I'll say culturally, the shock for me is, or what I would say, okay, this kind of, took me aback is, basically more of like when they do like a lot of family get-togethers.
Right, they do a lot.
Yeah.
Everything is a
I've gone for
carnival.
like twice, two ones or like three already.
Everything is a carnival for them.
Yeah, every like festive period they do family get together.
Wow.
And for me, I'm a kind of person that if I don't really know people,
You don't go.
no, exactly. Or if I go, because I don't want to be looking awkward in front of everybody, I just stay to
Yes,
So my
don't leave
wife
anybody
kind
there.
of got
The
upset
sign.
because of that. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I know this guy is very playful.
But because you don't know those people,
I said I don't really know those people, and I don't know what to say. Because me, to be honest, anytime I go to gatherings, for the most part, I'm always talking about God or about Jesus, right? Even if we talk about other things, but I'm always talking about Jesus and stuff like that. And to be honest, her family are not, only a few of them, they're not really doing things.
On board.
Exactly.
On
So
board.
I'm like, what am I going to be saying? So anything they say, I'll just be laughing. But sometimes I don't really understand. And again, accent too.
Oh yeah. I like you to speak
Accent.
though. I like you to speak.
I
I like you to speak.
But like my wife's mom, she's a very nice person, right? I kind of understand her when she speaks. Like I kind of get what she's saying, but there are sometimes she will say something and I'll be asking my wife, like,
What did she say?
what did she say? Then my wife is now the one telling me, So I would say the cultural difference wasn't really like huge, whereby I think it's more of a cultural shock for her than me.
Okay.
Because she is more American than she is Caribbean.
Right,
So
exactly.
because she was born here.
Yeah.
So I think the cultural shock is more for her than myself because I understand all those things.
Okay. Okay, so let's just discuss about food. Like, do you prefer your own Nigerian or American food, or you prefer Caribbean food?
Okay, so I would say this. I'm really not a Nigerian. Like,
So that's why I said American or Nigerian.
Yeah. So I mean, I eat. Don't get me wrong. I eat
Nigerian food.
Nigerian. I eat, pounded yam and all those things. But I'm not really heavy on it.
Right.
Right. The only thing I placed, like the only thing I would say, okay, I wanted my wife to know how to do was stew, because I know that with stew,
Because it's any
Everything.
exactly, rice, spaghetti, pasta, anything. So and which she's actually doing, a good job, right? But
So do you prefer Caribbean food or your own?
so for Caribbean food, I think there are a few foods that they do that I like, but not like.
Okay, so you
You
still
like their rice and
majority.
beans?
So you still prefer Nigerian
I still
food?
prefer Nigerian
Okay,
heavy.
How about you?
So
I know you say something different.
I stand with my Cameroon food, and I'll tell you, I'm not trying to be biased.
But who better than you guys though?
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, Chef Ife.
Yeah, you know that.
And I'm not trying to be biased, mainly because there's quite a lot of variety for us. Like, we do a lot of things with plantain, potatoes, corn, swallow. Like, there's a lot of versatile things that we do, cocoyam and stuff. And we.
We have versatile.
I know you guys do, but they are not traditional Yoruba meals that a regular Yoruba person will be cooking on a daily.
I see
You
what you're
get.
saying. Okay.
It takes, like, you people that cook, if you guys make like your traditional plantain or your traditional cocoyam, it takes like your really good cooks in your area to really do it.
Okay, yeah.
But like your everyday meals, like for Cameroon, an everyday meal could be cocky corn, and that's made from corn.
Okay.
It's like corn pudding.
Oh.
It's like moi moi, but it's made from corn. That's an everyday meal. That's an everyday meal. My everyday meal could be poulet deji, the ones that you guys tried.
Oh, no, I didn't try it.
Okay. My everyday meal could be poulet deji, and that's plantain and chicken, sautéed in like veggies. My everyday
like maybe like gizdo.
It's like your gizdo, but it's done with chicken and more sautéed in like veggies. My everyday meal could be like potato, like we call it hot pot, which is potatoes in like tomato sauce and stuff. So your everyday quick with 30 minutes, 1 hour meal, I feel like we have a lot more variety.
I see what you're saying.
Than if I want to cook variety for a Yoruba person, you have to be in the kitchen for hours.
Yeah.
So
it takes time.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I would prefer Cameroon food.
Yeah, is there to round up our video, is there like we like to call it advice, or like someone out there watching us, someone is asking he or she out, and the person is just bent on, I want to marry from my own nation, I want to marry a person, this person must come from this certain nation, my own place, this person must be a tribe, my own tribe. So is there any advice that you can give such person listening to us?
Yeah, I don't think marriage should be about tribes. As a matter of fact, I will encourage people to marry out of their tribes, because it gives your children the opportunity to be able to have an experience from different cultures. Also, there is that versatility that comes with dealing with somebody from a completely different nation or from somebody from a completely different culture, and it gives you an ability to learn. One mistake that most people that marry from different nationalities they do is that they try to for example, I marry a Nigerian and I want to talk, act, be, and eat like a Nigerian. That's not a thing. As a matter of fact, if you find yourself in a situation where you marry from another nationality, that's an opportunity for you to showcase the values, the food, the traditions that come from your country. There is an opportunity for you to stand out and share knowledge, not an opportunity for you to blend in.
Right.
I think what you're trying to say is that don't
lose yourself, your upbringing, what you like, because you are trying to align with a particular nation or something.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Royce, how about you?
I would say is, the most important culture you should think about is the culture of Christ, which we know. Make sure that one is down packed, signed and sealed. Then now, most times, if you are marrying for kingdom, you won't care about culture. That's the honest truth. There's something I used to say. Like, for instance, now, yes, we're talking about, intercultural, but even that's why we have tribalism. Right? If everybody is intermarrying, tribalism will die.
Right.
If everybody is interracially marrying, racism will die. Because the black man that you want to say, he married a white woman.
Yeah.
The Asian person you want to argue and say, you're not from here, married black white man. So how do you now are you not going to be telling the children that it won't really matter because my mom is white, my dad is black, that kind of thing. So those things will die. But the problem, if we always try to say, I want it to be from.
Okay, I think what Benedict said to round up this video, what she said that I'm taking out from, and I believe you watching us from online, she said that don't marry a culture, marry personality. So thank you all for watching our video. We'll see you in our next relationship series. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.